is really into the conversation of that faith has to be the foundation. And I've never heard him say this before. Even when it comes down to the people who we're hiring and, all this other stuff. And not to say that we would break all HR protocol, but he's even, seeing the importance of um just being equally yoked with the team. Because I told him, I said, and I'm pretty sure you can attest to this too, that we've been so desperate to get butts in seats where it's like we kind of ignore the discernment.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then it's like now we have to pay for it. And I kind of had to get on to him because he's like, well, I was expecting for this to work and all this other stuff. I said, look, I said, if you're hesitant to be going out there on video because of whatever reason, you're going to get hesitancy back.
Yeah.
So what you give out, you're getting back. And I
Yes.
had to put it that way for him to understand it, because I'm like, at the end of the day, we can crank, 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 crank. But if you're the visionary and you don't even put yourself out there, why would you expect for somebody to come back and do what you're expecting?
And that's so huge. We've gotten into that conversation with my Harvard sections about image and how you put out there this one thing and you're getting back something else. And the reason it's because you're not being authentic. You're not showing the true image of what you truly are inside. And you're expecting to get back exactly what you think is on the inside. And you're projecting out something totally different. You're not being true to yourself. You're not being true to your vision. And I think it's that whole thing of trying to be this public self that you're building this image that you think everybody's going to think is perfect. And there's no perfection. Nobody's
Yeah,
perfect. And you're projecting off something that you think is someone else's ideal rather than being your authentic self.
right.
Something doesn't convey. Nothing gels when you get like that.
Yeah. So we literally ended the call that within the next 48 hours, everybody has to have their own come to Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad meeting. And because, Ahmad, he's Muslim.
Yeah.
And, and when I sent you guys a text in the group and told you that dad just asked me out of the blue about fasting and, everything else, I was like, well, coincidentally, I'm typing up my prayer list and all this other stuff. And even with Ahmad on the phone, it's like, I don't care who you serve. I mean, that's none of my business.
Right.
I can always pray for you. I can always be respectful and everything else. Who you serve is between you and God.
Right.
And however that comes out, then that's how it comes out. But even Ahmad was like, they start Ramadan, next Tuesdays. I don't think it's coincidental that we start starting our fast on Monday. Ramadan starts on Tuesday.
Right.
And he says, you know what, to be real, I'm fasting so I can see all of my kids. Like, he's halfway across the world and have kids here in the United States. He hasn't seen them in a while. So to hear this man say that, he says that he hasn't seen one of his daughters since, the time that she was born. She just turned 10.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So, but again, looking at the extreme of what people are praying for,
Right.
what they're believing for,
Right.
that is just like, oh wow, I can't discredit you because you serve a different religion
Right.
than I do, but you're human as I am to have the same human wants and desires.
Yes. Yes. And that gets all into purpose. That gets all into what
Right.
is your purpose and how your purpose flows across your life, whether it's your business, whether it's
Yep.
your home life, whether it's your relationships. And I think you nailed it. We attract whatever our purpose is. So if we don't have it, or like you said, putting butts in seats because we're desperate. Well, if we're putting out that desperation and not the purpose, we're going to get the desperation right back at us and not meet our.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and I'm glad the conversation came out the way that it did, because it's evident. And I mean, you've been there along the journey and all this other stuff. I mean, we do things with great intention.
Yeah.
But are we really intentional about it? Like, we have a great heart, we have a great desire, But
Right.
when it comes down to it, are we really, really being intentional about it? Like, is this something that I know that I can put out there and be proud of? Is this something that I can put out there and say that I believe in this so much that I want you to join me on a journey? But if you choose not to, then so be it.
Yeah.
Like dad
Yeah.
said, Rayma hasn't called him. Okay, if Rayma hasn't called you, I don't care if she came out my womb or not. I'm not going to be desperate just because she's my kid. Like we're giving them opportunity. We're literally handing them opportunities to start your business. Don't have to work a 9 to 5. But again, if this is something you choose not to do, I have to keep it moving forward because even out of desperation of you being my own kid, I don't want that desperation to come back because I've settled because of
Right.
loyalty of you being my kid.
Right. Right. And that's the intention. I don't, now that I think about it, I don't think intention really has been put into this wholeheartedly. Now that you say that, I don't think life has been lived, business has been built, and action has been
Nope.
taken intentionally.
Nope. And that was my aha moment even for myself. Because even when dad said, okay, what's our marching orders for the next 48 hours? I said, I know me, I have to become more intentional. I have to become more intentional of
Yeah.
business, personal, whatever that is. And again, you can have a great heart, you can have a great idea, but when you talk about putting intention, that means putting your purpose intentional DNA on something so much that you won't even waver from the vision, the purpose, or who you're supposed to serve. And I
Right.
mean, things happen, but then at the same time, it's like, do we really come back to it of, you know what, that was a setback, that was a hiccup, whatever that is, but never losing sight of the true intention, the true DNA of what it needs to be. And even when it comes down to what I told them was, I said, when it comes to vision, purpose, and legacy, I said, for me, how I need to hire is based off of that. I would know that you're God sent if I don't have to convince you of the vision. I know that you're God sent if you automatically see the purpose and you respect the legacy. Like if you look at it from the foundation standpoint, if you were to ask me a year ago, would I be running a nonprofit with my dad knowing our relationship was just like whatever? No.
Right.
But because there's legacy that has to come out of this, I cannot play with that anymore because it's like,
Right.
oh yeah, we're running a nonprofit, but then it's like when you really sit back and look at how things were to where they are now, it's like, oh wow.
Yeah. That you make a really good point, and take me through that a little bit because so when you're talking about intention and putting your DNA on something, how how do you go about really doing that to make it effective? Because I'm wrapping my head around this and I'm going, okay, how can I really truly take action intentionally in the method that's true to form, I
Right.
guess is the best way to say it.
So I went back to um Anchored, the very first one,
Yeah.
where Mike Todd said, see it from God's vision.
Yeah.
If we have not, and again, regardless of who you serve, and I have to, reference on my end that who I served had to have given me the vision.
Right.
But if I'm still sitting, and because if you go back to the video, he actually got on a ladder.
Yes.
He looked, I don't know if it was hollow inside or what, but he was looking at the top of it.
Yeah.
If we're saying, okay, I see God's vision, or I know it's God's vision, but we're not going up to the altitude of God the way that we need to even see it,
Yeah.
then we're not being intentional about it first and foremost. The second part of that is when he started talking about valuing the vision and all a whole lot of other stuff, like what is going to convince you that the vision that God has given you is the all and said and done, that you're not wavering, that you're not listening to the naysayers, that you're not listening to, oh, why don't you do it this way, oh, I have an opinion about this, so because they have an opinion about it, we switch because we want to conform to what they want to feel good about versus what we've been told to do. And
Yeah.
when we remove all of that out of the way, that's when intention comes into play. But then also intention of being that you're going to be committed to that thing, regardless of what happens, and keep going and keep pushing the needle. And regardless of how many times the boulder comes rolling down the hill and tries to run you over, like you in a Looney Tunes cartoon, you pick yourself back up and keep going. Because if not, again, the intention to me, or the intentional DNA, is taking whatever God has given you and not wavering and believing that that's what you're supposed to do. And by any means necessary, besides sacrificing goats and kittens, that you're going to get it done.
Right. Right. And what Eb is referencing here is a series called Anchor, and it's through Transformation Church. Mike Todd is their pastor, and he starts every year with a theme. And this year it is to be anchored, not to drift, but to be anchored. And he started this series in January, and it's going to go through the end of the year. And if anyone wants to learn more about this program, because he has just gone through a whole thing about chasing paper chasers, whether you're chasing the paper or you're chasing your purpose. And we're wrapping up that series right now. But I would urge you to go to YouTube and get on Transformation Church and watch from January on. It will blow your mind. It will change the way you look at your finances. It'll change the way you look at your vision of your life. It'll change the way that you look at everything that you do, from your relationships to your business to your finances. And it's phenomenal. So again, Mike Todd, look at that series, and that's what she's talking about.
So even you mentioned paper chases, but that goes back to intention. Are we intentionally chasing the paper or putting purpose first?
Yeah.
And putting purpose first isn't always the pretty part of it, because it's kind of like you're saying that you are doing what God told you to do, regardless of what anybody else thinks. It's like taking your kid up to the hill and having to sacrifice them. And it's like, what if, like, let's just, what if it came to like, dude, what are you doing? Oh, God told me to take my kid up to the hill to sacrifice them. Well, do you think that would really be God? And blah, blah, blah. What if that was a whole different outcome?
Yeah.
What if? And that's how we have to be. If God is telling us to kill something, and we've had execution conversations like for the past 2 months now.
Yeah.
And not just executing what is around us, but executing what's within us. And if we're not willing to execute what's within us, then we might as well just say it's a done deal. We're following to keep up with the Joneses. We're following to appease everybody, when really we need to be intentional, knowing that we've been put here to cross paths with other people, that they cannot receive their, and not to say that we're Jesus or the Savior, whoever, but just think about how many people that are waiting to cross paths with us to get the answer that they need to get the word that is embedded in us.
Yeah.
Because of what they're going through. Like even now, we say, oh yeah, let's talk about donuts, coffee, and pocketbooks. But then it's like, okay, what are we talking about? And what comes out of us can be helping someone 5 months from now that may be going through the same thing.
Yeah.
But if we didn't follow suit, would they have even heard? And not to say that they won't hear it, because I believe that if you don't do it, God is going to find somebody else to do it.
Yes. Yes.
He's going to have his way regardless.
Right.
But what do we have to answer for when we're standing? You're like, well, I know you told me to do this, but so-and-so didn't think it was a good idea, so I didn't do it.
Yeah. I've lived with that quite a bit in my life, where it's, why are you doing that? That's not a good idea. I don't know about that. That's, you may want to wait on that, or being driven by fear. And that's been my biggest thing, is in the last maybe 6-7 years, everything's been driven by fear, just worry and fear. And what if it doesn't work out, or if I don't do this right now, it's going to all end. And I still struggle with that. And I think that's something I'm probably going to have to continue working through. But that's, I think, the biggest thing that people are that hinder them from finding
Yeah.
whatever it is that they're meant to do is fear and worry. And particularly now, with everything that's happened in the last year and a half, or a little over a year, I should say, it's scary. You know, you don't know if the
Yeah.
bottom's going to drop out from under you. You don't know if you're ever going to recover your finances. Businesses are not recovering from, you know, these economic shutdowns. And you know, it's a scary time because we're reopening, and then you're hearing, oh, we may shut down again because these numbers are going up, and people are hesitant to come out, and you do worry. You
Right.
wonder, am I making the right decisions, or am I going against the signs that I should stop or I should quit? There's always that worry too, that you're going, okay, am I doing this
Yeah.
because I want to do it? Or am I doing this because I'm getting all the signs that I should be doing it? And that's always something I've struggled
Right.
with is, am I getting the signs to stop? Am I getting all the signs that are saying you're done, you're done, you're done, you're done? Or is that my ego going, oh, I ain't stopping, I'm gonna keep on going until every last drop falls out of the, you know, off the fruit. You know, I that's always something that I've
Yeah.
struggled with. And it's something that I continue to struggle with, that I think a lot of people right now are doing the same.
But yeah, but I would say even on your side of business, it was, I mean, we've had plenty of conversations. Should I go back to a 9 to 5, and should you just be like, you're a full-time professor? Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
But if let's just say that we didn't even move forward with Find Your Voice.
Yeah.
The things that have happened with Find Your Voice over the past 2 weeks, 2 weeks,
Yeah.
not months, not years, but 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that is like, oh wow, okay, I'm glad that we didn't give into our tantrums and just call quits. Because
Yeah.
if not, 2 weeks of how things have progressed so fast and in such a blessing of a way, we wouldn't have seen that if we didn't say, well, first off, we had to just kill everything. Secondly, we had to make the decision to follow purpose and not chase the paper. And then, you know, with this whole prayer and fasting thing that we've all agreed to, 2 weeks. And not just in the aspect of that we're serving the core demographic that we initially started out to. We are now expanding because some people saw the value in it and said, hey, did you consider this?
Yeah. Which blew my mind. I mean, literally, it was like this puff like came out of the top, and I went,
Right.
and I heard angels sing, and I heard lights, and I went, oh yes, divine. I've been divinely inspired.
Yeah.
In the shower,
But
by the way.
it
I was in the shower when it happened, so it was
I'm
even
telling
more.
you, people laugh at me when I say I get the most God-given ideas in the shower. And that is the reason why. And, you know,
Yes.
luckily my hair is straight today, but normally if you see my hair curly, it's because I've just been in the shower. And it's just like, you have to, I don't know. I would say that when God created water, it's this energy
Yeah.
that allows you to be transparent. And it's crazy because, I mean, you see through water.
Yeah.
So how can you stand in water or be near water and not be transparent with your soul or your spirit as
Right.
to having that connection?
Well, it's purifying. It
It
cleanses.
is.
It removes. Also, our brain is this electrical chemical organ, the largest organ in our body. And you know what fuels it? You know what makes those electrical connections go faster?
Water.
Water. The more water you drink, the more efficient and quickly your brain is going to act. And why is that? Because it is this purified liquid that conducts this electricity that
Right.
allows us to think and analyze. And when we purify ourselves with water and we're transparent, you know, I mean, I literally had that moment in the shower, and I jumped out and texted you. I kid you not, I jumped out and I grabbed my phone and I'm like, I've got to write this down or this is not going to
Yeah.
happen. And it was just one of those things where it was like, I don't know. There is, and you're right. There's something about being in the shower that brings on those moments. And I think part of it's that we relax enough to let those things come through.
Right.
But it's also, I think, transformational in a sense, because we're cleaning our body, we're purifying our body, but
Yeah.
we're also, kind of taking some quiet time to kind of clear our minds and our souls too.
Right.
If you want to really
Right.
get into it. So, and yeah, if you saw my hair yesterday, I left it curly because I jumped out of the shower, and then Charlotte proceeded to tell me I look like a foo-foo dog. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, we were on the
Got
soccer
it.
field yesterday with Juliet at her soccer practice, and Charlotte had to pull my hair back in a ponytail because she said I looked too puffy.
So apparently your puffiness was embarrassing her.
Yes. So I did my job as a parent yesterday. I embarrassed my children with my puffy hair.
Right. But let's take that into the context. If someone else says that your vision is too puffy for them, are you gonna pull it back and be like, oh, is this okay for you now? Like, who does that?
I left my hair down today. Hi. I left poof going. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna live in my poofiness.
Right. Right. So it's just really one of those things of when it comes and I have to say that, a lot of people in our circle, and the circle is but so small.
Yeah.
I know that this is a divine appointment because everyone is going through the same thing.
That is so true. Oh my gosh, that is so true. We're all the warfare, and that's the best way I can come up with it. The warfare that has been going on trying to stop us from doing everything and anything that we have intended to do, every roadblock, every nasty comment, every you can't do that, all the naysayers, all the financial blocks, all of that just has all hit all of us, and we're literally going, are you kidding me?
Right. Oh yeah.
But we're banding together to fight the fight together, which I think in numbers is gonna make a big difference.
I see it making a difference now, and really making a difference of not just on the surface, but at the foundation.
Yeah.
Because having the weak foundation in anything is not going to last. Like, we can think it worked, but when we start seeing sinkholes and, kids start falling in and all this other stuff, it's like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And I think we are so impatient, especially when it comes to business. It's like, okay, let's do this. It's like, no, did you do this first?
Yeah.
Because if not, business is booming. You're making $1 million or 6 figures that you wanted to make. And then, oh yeah, by the way, because you didn't properly set the foundation of this system, you now have to put business on hold because everything just fell to crap.
Not only fell to crap, but you owe the IRS every single penny that you earned. By the way, they're knocking on the door to do an audit right now. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And you know what? You say patience, and that is my biggest shortcoming. This is my quote. And for my next book, this is going to be the title. Patience is not my virtue.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not.
I hate waiting. The funny thing is, when we were allowed to play, I went to a cell group, and if people aren't familiar with cell groups, it's basically a small cluster of groups that do Bible studies and stuff like this. So went to a cell group of a fellow church member, and her neighbors came over and all this other stuff. Yeah. And we were actually talking about prayer, but she says the one thing I would never pray for is patience. And I looked at her like, what do you mean? But what she said was so profound. She says, because what you pray for is eventually going to be the very thing that you're tested in. And oh yeah, when she wrote that bad boy down, I was like, you know what? Kind of makes some sense right there. So she said she never would even fix her mouth to pray for patience, because she knows that the moment those words come, and I understand her, because and I've said this to you and I've said this to Mason, There's just certain things that I would not utter out my mouth because I know how powerful my prayers are. And then if you add God to the mix of that, there's just certain things where it's like, God, am I really willing to put myself through this?
Yeah.
But yet in the depths of your heart, he still knows what you need, and what it is really a factor of what you need, not necessarily what you want.
Yeah.
And when you look at the things that you need, and the purging and the processing that you have to go through is so much not, it is so not fun.
Yeah. It's not.
But when you're talking about God, give me the grace to speak in love, yeah, he's really going to put you in some positions to fix your mouth and not say anything at all, because sometimes not saying anything at all is speaking in love.
Yeah.
When me, I'm like, I'm literally ready to slit your throat with my words.
Yeah.
I've gotten better. Yeah, I know that I've gotten better.
You've softened your touch,
I've gotten a
whereas
whole, oh yeah,
you have. You
I've
have.
gotten
Whereas
way
for
better.
me, anything I can do to avoid conflict, I'm always going, well, it could be this, it could be that, rather than saying, no, hell no, get out of
So,
here.
okay, what, so true story, like one of my guilty pleasures is watching anything in regards to reality TV in the hip hop world. Why? Because it takes me away from reality, and it also shows me that everybody else's life is maybe more jacked up than mine. And I am not living or thriving off of the jacked upness of other people's lives, but it's like, oh yeah, I may not have it so bad. So watching Married Boot Camp, the hip hop edition,
Mhm.
CeeLo Green and his wife, yeah, his wife is on there. And I say this about all creatives. We're all creative. I mean, you're creative. We have a lot of people in our circle that are creative.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to be in the woo-saw moment to be creative. Yesterday, I was working on stuff and it's like, I just don't feel it. I just don't. Then get a call. Your energy is off. Yep, it definitely is off, you know?
Yeah.
But in looking at this, CeeLo is one to not want to deal with confrontation. And
Really?
his wife is like, well, oh yeah. And the crazy thing is I saw it. Like something would come up and then it's automatically shot down. It's like, wait, can you just hear her out?
Yeah.
He would like totally shut it off. And it's
Oh,
like, okay, why is it that you don't want to deal with, and not to say that confrontation always has to be bad,
yeah.
but and I use the word confrontation. It's really allowing the person to express themselves,
Yeah.
love them unconditionally, whether you
Yeah.
agree or not, and still be able to have the conversation of why do you feel this way?
Yeah. And
Because
that's,
me, if you make me push things under the rug, I'll push it under the rug. But when it comes down to me having to express myself or anything else, guess what goes up? The wall. I, don't ask me ever again to express myself or to be honest of where I am if you're automatically going to shut it down.
yeah.
Because to me, again, my love language, quality time and action. There's no in between. I'm split between both. So quality time to me is you listening to me regardless if you agree or not, but allowing me that space to express who I am. So
Right.
when it comes down to I'm not a confrontational person, I'm not trying to be confrontational. I just want, if you care about me or if you love me as you say that you do, at least hear me out. Let's talk about it and keep it moving.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like he would just totally shut it down. Totally. And I was like, wow.
See, for me, and I do get that sometimes, and for me, I just start talking louder. And I just start talking louder. And then I just start talking louder because I'm like, if you're going to keep shutting me down, I'm not going to stop talking. I'm going to talk over you, which is really bad. I will say that. Talking over someone is
Really?
horrible. Oh my gosh, yes. If I have a point to make, I will talk over you and I will start talking. See, I'm already starting to talk louder. I start
That is
talking louder and because I want to be heard. And that was something from my childhood where if I didn't feel like I was being heard, because I was always being yelled at, sorry, mom and dad, but you did
yeah,
it to me a lot. Always
yeah,
getting yelled
yeah.
at and just trying to explain something, and they're yelling and yelling and yelling, and you're still trying to explain something. I just amp it up because I just want you to hear me. if you acknowledge that you've heard me, I'll shut up. I'll calm down. I'll be quieter. I ain't going to be quiet, but I'm quieter. But I just
Yeah.
want you to hear me and acknowledge the fact that my words actually penetrated your skull, went in through your ear, bounced off the hammers, and went somewhere. And if you do that for me,
Right.
then I'll step back. But when you don't, and you just want to shut me down when I'm passionate about something, I'm going to roll over you, which is really not my nature. But when I get amped up, it's like, just hear me out.
Yeah.
Just listen to what I have to say. You may not agree with it, but please just listen to all that I have to say. And then, so if CeeLo were doing that to me,
Yeah.
he would be getting yelled at, because I would be yelling and I'd be talking over him and interrupting him, and it wouldn't be
But
productive.
then no, what he'll say is that if you do that, you're not talking to him with respect. And sometimes I'm listening to certain things that his wife says, and then he'll just belt out, "You're not respecting me." And I'm like, but she just said one thing. But the crazy thing is you hit it on the nail. They went back and started looking at childhood. And you hit it on, there's just certain things in childhood. And
Yeah.
me, I was always stuck in the middle of something. What if it was, my dad and my mom, my grandmother and my dad, and I was always stuck. So, and plus as the only child, I had the way that I coped was create my own world. Me
Yeah.
creating my own world, by the time I was a senior in high school, I was 16. When I entered high school, my senior year, when I was senior in high school, I entered as a 16-year-old,
Wow.
graduating at 17.
Wow.
When my dad was with his ex-wife at the time, and the one thing he said, "If you do not want to be here, you have a choice to make. You ain't say nothing but a word." My senior year, I had 3 jobs. I woke up at 5, no, I woke up at 4:30 to be at the YMCA by 6 o'clock, check kids in for the before school program. Because I had all my credits, mainly of them, I was able to go to Votech, went to fashion design school, had to go back to the high school to take math. So I just took trig for the 3rd time because I had the same teacher memorize the book, easy A. After I left there, went to the YMCA for the after school program. And then after school program was done, I worked in the customer service desk. On the weekends, I worked as a seamstress at a seamstress assistant at a seamstress shop. By the time I graduated, I had a full apartment packed up. I mean, furniture, or everything packed up in the back of my dad's house. Because again, if I'm in a place of you're telling me I can't do something or I need to make a decision, okay, got you. But even growing up, if you're not hearing me, again, my mechanism is I'm putting you in this little compartment. I'm building my own little world. And eventually in my own little world, I forget who you are because you didn't make it a point to value what I had to say or who I am.
Right. Right.
And even to this day, if I see that you show no interest of what I bring to the table, what I have to say, if it's, oh, you're thinking too crazy, or this is out of nowhere, or you're being too dramatic. Okay, got you. You're in this little world. I'll deal with you as needed. And then as I keep moving forward, because again, my mechanism is if this is how you feel about me, I'm putting myself more into work. I'm putting myself more into creativity. I'm putting more. And the crazy thing is we think we're doing something productive.
Right.
We think we're building out of passion. We think that
Yes.
we are creating and moving forward. Now, granted, those situations has propelled me into certain things of what I'm doing today.
Right.
Was it healthy mentally, emotionally? Maybe not. But looking at what you said about the kid aspect of how you were raised, a lot of that has to do with what we do today in communication, emotions, and a whole lot of other things.
Right.
And they actually had kids act out who they were when they were younger in front of them.
Oh.
So here you are as a full grown adult and you see kids portraying you as you were as a kid. It's like, well, dang.
Ooh. Ow, that's brutal.
Oh yeah.
That is brutal.
If I can find that episode on YouTube, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send
But
it to me. That's
it
interesting.
was the most profound thing that I saw. And it's a therapist that's on there, it's a judge. I mean, it's a whole lot going on, but that episode was just the most profound because they literally took younger kids,
Yeah.
took their life story in a nutshell, reenacted it, and it's like, oh wow. I'm still, and the crazy thing is, we are so still living our 12-year-old self because we haven't gotten through certain things.
Yeah.
That really, we may be looking like adults on the outside, but what we express is our 10, 12-year-old versions of.
Yes. Yes, that's very true. That's very true. And I think that's where a lot of conflict comes into play, because I'm very similar to you. I'm very stubborn. And if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. And whether it's a mistake or not, and that's where I've made a lot of my mistakes.
Yeah.
Is that my quote is, I'll show you.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
I'll show you.
That's a t-shirt and a coffee mug.
I'll show you. That's been for my husband. That's where he's always like, that's your attitude. Yeah, I'll show you. Yeah, I'll show you, because unfortunately I've had too many people say you can't do, or you shouldn't do, or don't do it. And yes, I have made horrible life decisions doing that. I will admit it. I went through some very dark times in my 20s and 30s, making some very bad decisions on the I'll show you. You think you know it all, I'll show you. And I wish I had listened to counsel. But now, as I'm later in life, I think the I'll show you is serving me well. There are those around me that probably would not agree with that, because they think I'm a little too cavalier and a little too risk-taking with certain decisions that I've made with the business, but with my businesses, I should say. But for me, I think the I show you tenacity is what's keeping me going.
Right.
Because if I didn't have that attitude, I would be literally looking for a full-time job and having someone else tell me what to do, and I would die.
Yeah.
I've been there, done that. I don't want to go back to that.
Yeah, and it's just really one of those things of, people say, well, how do I get the strength to fulfill my passion or to fulfill purpose? And you literally have to have that come hell or high water attitude. And sometimes it doesn't come easy for people like that, because again, they're non-confrontational. They want to keep the peace. Now, don't get me wrong. I have all intentions on keeping peace.
Yeah.
But when I'm not at peace, that opens up a whole brand new door for a whole brand new ebony to walk through, and you don't want to deal with them.
Right.
Because if I know that I'm giving of myself to be compromising, if I know that I'm giving of myself to meet you halfway or go above and beyond or whatever that is, and it's not reciprocated in a way of the truth of what we agreed to in partnership or friendship or whatever else, you come into this little area, I keep you in a little compartment, and I keep moving forward. And not to say that
you go to timeout. You send them to timeout permanently.
Yeah. It's kind of like, the crazy thing is, it's like being in who's in your room, but in some instances, you eventually have to deal with them when they're in that compartment. You either say that you want to keep going with this, what you're willing to, compromise in or whatever else, or you make that final decision and say, you know what, I'm just going to have to box you up, not label it, and keep it moving. Because we both know that from in who's in your room, whoever comes in can't go out.
That's right.
But you have to do something with them.
Yes.
And ignoring the fact that they're in the room isn't going to help, because they may have a bad cologne on that you remember. They may have the most annoying voice that you remember. And when it comes up at the least expected time, you're then jarred down with that memory of, oh my gosh, like this person is still in my life. May not be physically, but mentally, emotionally, and even sometimes spiritually.
Exactly. Exactly. And you're right. Those are going to be triggers at any time. And they're never going to be convenient. And they're always going to be at moments that you are left completely undone by that.
Right.
And like you said, get a mental packing box, get some tape, put your person, the image, the smells, all of that are associated with that person, put them in the box, tape it shut, put it on a shelf. They're going to stay there permanently in your room, but if you have them packed away, they can't affect you anymore. They can't hurt you anymore. They can't influence you anymore. You have removed that from your subconscious, and it's been packed away.
Yeah, definitely. And there is a book out there. I'll put the link in the notes, but it's called Who's in Your Room?
Yeah.
It's by Dr. Ivan. Don't ask me to pronounce his last name because I will screw it up. But it's a short read, but it's definitely something for you not to rush through, because if not, you'll totally miss the point of what it is. And even through that, there are just some things that you have to work through, especially to go to the next level in your purpose, in your identity, especially to be intentional, because we're quick to sweep things underneath the rug. We sweep underneath the rug. Oh, I'll do it that later. Oh, I'll do it that later. But then it's like, okay, you want to, embark on a new journey, and you have to go back and deal with this emotional stuff. You want to get into a new relationship, and it's like, you can't fully enjoy the relationship because you're still dealing with this other crap. And it's like, yeah.
And
I think
that's important. And I will say that you recommended that book to me, and I read it in, I think it was 2 days. And it made such a profound difference in the way I viewed my relationships with people, but also my past and my present, and what I wanted in it and what I wanted out of it, and what I wanted to pack away and get rid of that I didn't realize I was carrying around. And the important thing for anyone watching this who is interested in taking a leap of faith and wanting to start your own business, or wanting to start your own side hustle, or wanting to do something that will fulfill your purpose, Eb is the person to talk to. She can show you how to build a business from scratch. She can take you through all of that, and she will take you through reading that book. And I want make sure we put in the notes your contact information, because again, she will help you. She will help you find a way, because she's done it for so many other people. Reach out to her, and she will take you through the paces. And I'll tell you, you will not be disappointed, because it will change. Not only will it change your income stream and change the way you look at your life, and change the way that you have the freedom of working for yourself versus working for someone else, but it'll also change the way you look at yourself. And it'll change the way that you see yourself as someone who is strong, reliant, and has the fortitude and strength that you didn't even know you had, and the creativity you didn't know you had. So if you're interested in that, reach out to her, because I can tell you, having worked with her for a number of years, she's a really good resource, and she will show you how to do it. And she will have you read that book, and you need to read it. It will change your life. And
because I don't move forward unless people read the book.
Yeah.
And even to take it a step further, if you're dealing more so if you deal with more so trauma, that, I mean, I've dealt with trauma, but I'm not the expert in all trauma, you need to go to Krista. So we hand off to each other the way that we need to.
Yeah.
But there's just certain things, you may have to go to Krista before coming to me, because Krista would automatically tell you, like, I would love you to death. I would take you on. I would take your business on as if it's mine. But if you have to work on more personal than anything, you have to stick with the personal first, because we are living examples that if our personal life is jacked up, everything else just falls apart. business, household, everything. Well, I
Yes.
wouldn't say household, because the crazy thing is that we can be all jacked up, and because we know that the household is the one thing that we can lose ourselves in, guilty as charged, we lose ourselves within the household in an unhealthy manner,
Yes.
when really we may just need to be changing sheets on the bed. And I always say, give yourself, if you ever need to cry, go change the sheets on your bed, because that gives you enough time to take off the sheets, go find a new set of sheets that you want to put on. You have to make sure everything is smooth, the pillowcases and everything else. So at least gives you a good 10 minutes to cry
Yes.
while changing sheets.
While
Like, you
changing
have to be
sheets.
creative. We find these moments, especially as mothers, when we like, there's points where I just want to throw my phone at the wall, but I know if I do that, then I'd have to go to, who am I with? Verizon, and say, hey, I need another phone. But because my phone is tied to business in some aspects, I think I do more email than phone these days. And that's the reason, the crazy thing is, I don't have my phone near me unless I know that the kids are out of the house, or if I know that I need to be available for a certain person.
Mhm.
Other than that, don't ask me about a text message. Even when it comes down to me putting my alerts on hold,
Mhm.
the only people that break through, and when I say breakthrough, because iPhone has a feature of allowing people to break through, are the
Mhm.
people close to my circle.
Mhm.
If you don't break through, that means I can get back to you later or whatever else. But there's only but so many people that I allow to break through on my phone.
Right.
So that's the reason why people are like, you don't answer your text messages until 3 days later, because that's not my priority right now.
Right. Right. And you're setting boundaries, and that's what you're supposed
Oh
to do.
yeah. Oh
Boundaries are
yeah.
key. Boundaries are key, and people have to respect them. And if they don't, they're
Yes.
not part of the group.
Right. So going back to it, you have to find your creative ways of release. Me and Krista have become masters of closets,
Yes.
and you have your closet, you make your space in your closet, you hide in your closet.
Although my children now know how to find me in the closet, so I think I'm going to have to.
Really?
Yes. Especially Juliet. She
Uh,
finds me in the closet. She finds all the stuff I'm hiding in the closet.
really?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yes. I
Yeah,
can't.
we're gonna have to find it.
I gotta find it.
But
I
you
even
don't have any other hiding spaces,
you
right?
know what? I even tried the laundry room. I even tried the laundry room, thinking
Really?
they won't go down there. They won't go down there. They're not going to go. I
They
can't.
went in there.
They went in there.
Do you have a garage, or you park outside?
No, we don't have a garage, but we have a shed. And I would go out to the shed, but it's cold. It's a
Got
shed.
you.
And I don't feel particularly good vibes in there. So, yeah, no.
We're gonna have to create you a she shed.
I need a she shed. I need a
We're
she
gonna have to
shed that
create you a she
doesn't have
shed.
gardening tools and mowing equipment and bicycles and
A whole lot of other stuff. Yeah, I
stuff
get
that I
it.
don't want. Yeah, no.
Because I was gonna say, if you had a garage, then you can go hide in the car. But then, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know.
It's like I almost feel like I have a GPS on my butt or something that as soon as it hits the floor
And they
somewhere,
know where you are.
they know where I am. They're like, and off they go. And I'm like,
Right, right. That is hilarious.
can't hide in my bedroom.
So,
I can't hide in my closet. I can't hide in my office. I can't hide in the laundry room.
I mean, really, the only place you can go then is the academy. But then you have to get in your car, and even though it's 5 minutes away, you still, that is crazy. Like,
And even if I go
maybe,
to the academy, I got to take them with me.
oh yeah, never mind. I totally forgot about that. Totally.
And and I will say this, everyone, that's part of the freedom of working for yourself is that you do get to be with your family more.
Yes. Yes.
And I love my children and I'm so grateful, but it is spring break and I've literally been with them 24/7 for the last week and a half, and they're going to be on virtual learning all next week. So next week I may be bald. Tune in for next week to see if I still have hair. Oh, when they took over my office, look what I came in to find this morning
That is
on my desk.
funny.
Can't take this kind of pressure.
Exactly. He said the exact right word.
That's right, Rex. I know.
So
How
they
am I
have
not
spring
there?
break for a week and a half? Never in my life. A week and a half. Oh, wow.
Their last day of school was a half day last Wednesday.
That, yeah. Yeah.
Send chocolate.
And then they have a whole week of virtual learning. Yeah, that's
Yes.
going to be.
Yes. And I'm covering for another teacher next week. So that's going to be,
Oh, wow.
yeah, good times.
Okay.
So you
So
all may
we
see
say
me
that,
bald
right.
next week.
Yeah, but we don't say this to discourage you for starting your own business with side hustle.
No.
There are ways
There
to
are ways.
strategically
Yes.
run your
And
business.
I'm not complaining. I have a very good life and I have a very, very wonderful business. I'm jesting in my complaining because it does create some logistical issues. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but again, if you want to start a business, reach out to Eb. If you need coaching and work with mental health, come talk to me. And not trying to plug anything, Eb, but I just want to put this in real quick. I got a book coming out.
I know. I was about to bring that up. We can do pre-sales too. We'll talk about it. It's for every mom. That's for sure.
Any mom. Okay, so I have this book. It's called Be You, Do You, Be Blossom, and it's a journey through motherhood, music, and just life in general. And I talk about how music helps with mental health and mindset. But in between each chapter, you get to see the craziness of my life as a mother with some of the memos and other stories that I share, that having twins and my son have had along the way, and we've all experienced it, having a cup of coffee that we've had to nuke 15 times because we don't know what hot coffee is anymore. Having our children be very quiet, come to find out that they have redecorated my walls with their own caveman drawings.
Yeah.
The day that they got loose in the drugstore.
That is my favorite. Like, I laughed so hard. No, I take that back. I'm trying to see if that was my favorite or the episode where the whole smoothie thing just exploded in the car.
Oh my gosh, yes. The smoothie explosion where my daughter literally lost her mind over the fact that not the smoothie exploded, but that the whipped cream on top was gone.
Yes.
While I'm scooping and throwing it out the window with the hopes that it doesn't sink into the car. And their brother and her brother and sister are in the back going, "Don't even look at mine. I'm not sharing. Back off."
Yeah.
So yeah.
So we'll also put that link in the show notes.
Yes, you'll want to read this book. It's it's relatable to any mother or father out there. If you have kids, you'll relate to it. And it's just a humorous way of just looking at it, but also it's a good read for those that are looking to understand a little bit more about mental health and how music plays into all of that as well.
Yeah, definitely. So with that, I am also doing a free boot camp for mothers and caregivers the month of May who want to learn how to become a virtual assistant. Definitely something that is near and dear to my heart. It is 4 years this month since I've been a full-time entrepreneur. And with everything of what we bring to the table, I always believe in the give back component. And just really wanting to empower women and caregivers, and in the space of COVID really jacked us up.
Mhm.
Like and I hate to say that, even teachers and essential workers and everything else. So I was talking to Will the other day, and I don't know if you were on the Clubhouse with us when he talked about it, but a teacher somewhere up east was really trying to find a way of staying virtual.
Yeah.
The board was like, no, you have to come back. Yeah. Not even 2 weeks later that she goes back, she dies from COVID.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you hear stories about that, I didn't know her personally. I didn't know she had kids or whatever else. But to me, it's more personal, because imagine if I was still working for corporate America when COVID hit.
Yeah.
I was in leadership, so there would be no excuse as to why I could not be in the office. Just because you work from home in corporate America, I will say this, they still have no concept of time, thinking that you can still work 40 hours in one day. There's no boundary, and you can't say no. You can say no, but there's a lot of people out there that are fearful that if they do say no because of it infringes on personal time or values, that they can literally lose their job.
Yes.
So this boot camp series is not to say that you have to quit your 9 to 5 right away, but it gives you the options of taking your skills as a mother and or caregiver to show you how you can become a virtual assistant.
Yes.
As mothers and caregivers, we run businesses every day within a household, and we just don't know it.
Yeah.
We know how to budget when we have to go shopping. We know how to organize when we're organizing schedules, communicating with teachers, and all this other fun stuff. We know how to project manage when we have to do dishes, laundry, or whatever else, because we have to manage that throughout our day. And some people may be like, well, I'm not a great, graphic design or whatever else. Let me tell you, there are so many small business owners out there, even companies, that will be glad to have you just to check their calendar or follow up with phone calls and send emails. You don't have to be, you have to have some technology experience or know-how. But if you have a laptop, tablet, phone, I'm very mindful of when I hire freelancers that they work from a specific tablet or laptop, only because I want to be mindful of your personal space on a phone. But if you work with someone that doesn't mind you working on your phone because you're logging into a secured email portal, you can be sitting by the pool answering emails while your kids are out there playing.
Yep. And that's
like this is where, right, that's the freedom that I want to be able to expose everyone to. That if you decide to say, I want to take a drive to the beach for spring break with the kids, again, being COVID minded, whatever you're doing, it's that flexibility of, if you don't want to work on Friday, don't work on a Friday. It took me a while to get to not working on Fridays as much as I used to do when I first became a full-time entrepreneur. But there are just days where it's like, it's Friday. I left corporate America for this. I left corporate America to be able to have the sanity that I needed, and a whole lot of other stuff. Don't worry about how much it's going to cost to get started. Literally what I teach you is for little to nothing. You can start your own website for $12 for the whole year, including with the email. You can put yourself out there on Indeed, on LinkedIn, with a resume that, showcases your skill set as to why they need you. And I tell people all the time, remove the title.
Yeah.
Once you remove that title and focus on your skill sets, then you're more than worth $1 million.
Yes.
So all of that information would be in there. If you know someone that can take advantage of it, go ahead and do it. We're also doing a giveaway for I Am Flossom, so we'll be releasing that as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot coming down the pipeline. But again, coming back to why we even started this conversation, even though we did have a whole list of topics, I have to laugh at that. We want to be able to put out there products that are genuinely going to help you. Krista has a journal. She has a cute little t-shirt. We're working on the coffee mugs. We're working on a whole lot that we're putting out there for you. See, she has on her t-shirt.
I have on my t-shirt.
So we are going to do some, so we are going to do some free giveaways. We are going to do a whole lot of stuff coming up. including having more intentional conversations, because as I said, we had a whole list of topics, and obviously the universe knew that we needed to be talking about something else. So we
Yeah.
follow suit and we keep it moving.
Yeah.
If there's anything that you want us to talk about, whatever that may be, throw it in there, because we want to know from you, what is it that you want to hear, or what would help you even more with
Yeah.
your journey, with your purpose, with your identity.
Yeah.
A lot of us, we get stuck because we're in search of that identity,
Yeah.
that we are moms and we've taken on the identity of being a mother, or being a wife, or wiping snotty nose, but yet we have to get back to the true us.
Right. Exactly. And we forget about that. We're the last on our own list. And it's because we're so busy trying to keep everything together and everyone together that we ignore that. And that we're here to remind you that you have to be at the top of the list, because if you're not healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, you are not going to be able to provide that to anyone else.
Yeah. So I'm excited. Share your success stories.
Yes.
Share your war stories. We are starting a prayer and fasting initiative as of Monday coming up. And you can send us private messages of saying, hey, you need prayer, or whatever. And we're taking the spookiness out of all of this.
Yes.
We need to be able to present ourselves holistically and spiritually. That is something that we know we can't shy away from. And again, regardless of what you're believing for, as long as you're not sacrificing kittens and cows and all this other stuff,
yeah.
I can say that I can stand in agreement. And as long as you
Yes.
are not praying for harm against someone else, I have to put that out there, because
Yes, please.
you never know. The prayer may be, oh, I want my husband's car to crash tomorrow on his way to work. No, we can't do that, hon.
No, not happening.
We cannot do that.
Sorry,
But
not happening.
if it has everything to do with health, purpose, mental, emotional, we can do that. The kids,
Yes.
I have been on this thing of really breaking generational curses. I don't know why it's been it's really been heavy on me.
Yeah, that's been huge for a lot of people. A lot of people.
Yeah, and I would say starting with myself, because as you can see, whether if you're CeeLo, Krista, or myself, there's still that 12-year-old version that may pop out because of a potential generational curse or something that has been there.
Yes.
There were women on the show, and I'll say this, that they repeated what they saw.
Yeah.
So one of them saw nothing but prostitutes, pimps, and everything else. So she learned at a very early age how to do transactions to get what she wanted. So imagine still being 30, 40 years old, and no slight to anyone who has been exposed to that. But I say that because what you learn at an early age carries on with you, and then you may end up carrying that over to your offspring, willingly or unwillingly. I mean, there's certain things that I have to step back and realize that, am I portraying something that I never wanted to be because I said I don't want to be that?
Right.
Has there been instances? Yeah. But just to show how deeply rooted just generational habits, that's what they are.
Yes.
It's like they become so habitual. It's like it's everyday life for us.
Yes. Yeah, and it's time to break your cycles.
How crazy is that?
I know. But they're so ingrained in our DNA, and that's where you have to do DNA releases, because again, and there are ways of doing it. I know there's a woman in Australia, her name is Margarita Volberoff, and she does EFT tapping.
Margarita is awesome.
I know. She's fabulous. And she does what's called EFT tapping.
I saw her video.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw the one where she was mentioning spiritual warfare. So,
Yeah, she's huge in Australia, and she does what's called EFT tapping. And she's on YouTube, and she does a EFT tapping to release from your DNA ancestral trauma and curses and things that have been following you along the line of for lack and fear and self-doubt and all of that. So I would encourage anyone that wants to get into EFT tapping. I do it myself. It's very relaxing. It helps with a lot of things that you might want to. It's called Pitbull Mindset is the name of her company, Pitbull Mindset.
Yeah.
She's on YouTube, and she does a 21-day tapping challenge. And I would urge you all to go and check her out, because the tapping will help you with a lot of different things that you don't even think about. That if you enter the challenge every day, you'll be doing some new tapping that'll address different things mentally and physically and spiritually that you can work on.
Yeah. So, disclaimer for all of the religious folks out there that are like, oh, that's a devil, blah, blah, blah. I would have to say this. I firmly believe that there are certain resources out there that are put in place because not everybody is made the same.
Mm-hmm.
What may work for me may not work for Krista, vice versa. What may work for you may not work for the next person. So we're putting these resources out there because we've actually done them personally. I haven't done it yet. But Margaret is someone that I follow because she's a great friend to Krista. And this is how we connect the circle and bridge the gap if we need to. Margaret also has this great device that Krista uses that works phenomenally.
Yes, it does. And it's called a Healy. I'll wear it next week on our live so that you all can see it. It's out of Germany, and it's used, it started off being used for chronic pain and helping with helping change the frequency of your mind and your body, we all have vibrations and electrical currents that run across our skin. And this machine was created to help stop chronic pain. And they found that it also helps with mental health. And I've been using it for about a year now, and it's made a big difference in the way that I deal with my depression and my anxiety. I'll wear it next week so you all can see it, but it's now available in the United States, and she's the one that introduced it to me. And it's a holistic way of helping yourself.
Yeah.
That makes a huge difference.
But you said you used it on one of the girls though, right? When they had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've used it. Okay, so the girls love it. I've used it on Juliet for pain, and it took the pain away within 10 minutes of an ankle injury that she had. And I've used it for Charlotte for relaxation for her. She'll get herself very upset, and it's hard to calm her down. I've put the relax mode on for her, and it's calmed her down to the point where she's fallen asleep. So they ask to use it all the time.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So again, you're grown adults. You can do as you're led. If you have to pray about it, meditate, whatever that is. But, we come to you in different aspects of the resources are there. You can take advantage of them however you feel, see fit to do so. Mm-hmm. But just know that we're not the stuffy ones that's like, oh, it goes against the Bible. And I mean, things that do go against Bibles and beliefs, yeah, we'll stand up firmly for that. Mm-hmm. But there's just certain things that we know that are holistic or whatever else that are not mnemonic, that are not going to make you lose your hair if you decide to do so. It's not the voodoo that we support or anything else. It's just, what is it going to take for you to become healed holistically,
right?
Mentally, emotionally, physically, even financially. Like, we're always coming up with ways to be like, how can we do this to help other people?
Yes.
Where we don't have to take a pay from it, but we're just giving the money away.
Yes. Yes. So we're here.
So,
and if you have questions, ask them.
Yeah.
Just ask them. And if you have issue with what we're offering, keep on scrolling.
Yeah.
There you go.
We love you, but we love you and we wish you the best.
I'll give you the queen wave.
Right. If we're not for you, we're not against you.
Right.
Let's go biblically.
That's right.
Even though you're not for us, we're not going to be against you.
Nope.
But yeah.
Nope. We'll still be cheering you on.
Yes. I hear my friend. that means it's time
It is time. I must make
to
sure
say
my house is
goodbye.
still standing. Yes. So I'm gonna go check on my children and make sure,
Yeah.
because I can see my line of sight and I'm hearing them from two
Yeah.
different directions.
I hear the elevation of voices, so that means my friend is about to do something that he should
Yes,
not
he is.
do.
He's plotting. You're
So
right.
with that, until next time, we love you guys. Let us know
We
if you
love
need
you
anything,
guys. We'll see you
and we'll see you
soon.
later. Bye.
Bye.